Tonight we're talking about an invisible war. The line between digital code and biological life. Well, it's been erased.
For decades, you see, we fought two completely separate wars. One was against computer viruses, fought in silicon. The other was against biological viruses, fought inside our very cells. But then, we connected our labs, our hospitals, everything to the internet. And those two battlefields, they merged. We are now in the era of hybrid risks, of cyberbio risks. A world where a hacker doesn't just steal your password, they can rewrite the DNA of a virus and turn a life-saving medicine into a weapon. This isn't just another threat. This is the weaponization of life itself.
So think about that for a second. Our entire security paradigm is built to protect bits and bytes. But how do you stop an attack that doesn't just compromise data, but edits the instructions for life itself? How do you defend a system when a single malicious line of code can turn a harmless microbe into a plague?
Well, to fight a hybrid threat, you need a hybrid defense. A completely new form of security, written not in silicon, but in the very molecule our enemies are trying to control. The only answer is to build a firewall that is, itself, alive.
So to really understand this living firewall, we have to go inside the lab. We're going to investigate the new discipline that's dedicated to this fight, a field that was born at the dangerous intersection of our digital and biological worlds.
And that field is called Cyberbiosecurity. Now, this isn't just some new buzzword. It's a necessary fusion of expertise. It takes the digital walls of cybersecurity and merges them with the containment protocols of biosecurity. I mean, you can't protect a DNA synthesizer with just antivirus software, and you can't secure a gene editing database with just a locked door. The threats are integrated, so the defense, it has to be too.
And this leads us to a really radical new strategy. If our adversaries want to manipulate the language of life, well then we are going to use that exact same language to build our defenses. The core idea is to treat DNA not just as a biological building block, but as the world's most advanced information storage medium. The goal? To write our secrets, not in silicon, but directly into the DNA molecule itself.
Okay, but is this just a cool theory? Can you actually store secure, verifiable data in something as famously changeable as DNA? Now, we enter the crucible. This is where these incredible ideas get stress-tested against the harsh realities of biology and, of course, cryptography.
The very first attempt at securing synthetic DNA was something called a watermark, basically a simple label tucked inside a DNA sequence. But, just like any label, it can be peeled off or changed. The far more robust solution is the digital signature. Now, this isn't just a label in the DNA. It's a cryptographic seal that is mathematically created from the DNA. It's a tamper-proof lock for the whole sequence.
Let's break down exactly why watermarks just don't cut it. A lot of them are based on simple substitution ciphers. Think of a kid's decoder ring, which makes them super easy to crack with basic analysis. And because they're just inserted information, they can be intercepted and forged. But the real killer, the crucial point, is the last one. A watermark is totally independent of the DNA it's in. An attacker can literally cut it out and paste it into a malicious sequence, falsely claiming it's authentic. It's just a fundamental security flaw.
So how do digital signatures fix all this? Well, they use three really powerful cryptographic pillars. First, a hash function. It reads the entire DNA sequence and calculates a unique digital fingerprint, or a digest. If you change even a single base pair in the DNA, the hash changes completely. Second, error correction codes are built right in. DNA mutates, it's what it does, so codes like Reed-Solomon are used to find and fix those errors, making sure the signature stays valid. And third, non-repudiation. The signature gives you mathematical proof of where it came from, meaning the creator can't deny they signed it. This is how you make a living molecule accountable.
Now, DNA-based signatures are a massive leap forward, for sure, but they're not the only players in this game. This has kicked off a brand new arms race in bio-inspired security, with researchers looking to nature for totally new ways to build unbreakable codes.
And as you can see here, this arms race is really heating up. Beyond just standard DNA methods, we've got cellular automata which generate these incredibly complex patterns from simple rules, almost like a digital organism. Then there are chaotic systems which use the butterfly effect to create unpredictable codes. And right on the cutting edge, you've got proteinoid-based cryptography, which uses synthetic proteins to create self-authenticating and potentially even quantum-resistant encryption.
And yet, for all their brilliance, every single method we've talked about so far shares one potential fatal weakness. Their security is what we call conditional. It's basically a bet.
It's a bet that your enemy doesn't have a fast enough computer or a powerful enough quantum computer to break the math at the heart of the encryption. And that's a bet that one day we are going to lose.
But what if you didn't have to make that bet? What if there was another way? There is. There's a superior category, unconditional cryptography. We're talking about mathematically perfect security, a code that is invulnerable, even if your attacker has a quantum computer the size of a planet and all the time in the universe. Now, this isn't science fiction. It's a concept that's a century old, but we've never been able to truly pull it off. Until now. This is the one-time pad, or OTP. It is the holy grail of cryptography. The rules are simple, but they are absolute. To send a perfectly secure message, you need a secret key that is 1. Perfectly random, 2. As long as your message, and 3. Used only once and then immediately destroyed. If you follow those rules, the encrypted message gives an attacker 0 information. It is mathematically impossible to break.
So, if it's so perfect, why don't we use it for everything? Because the problem has never been the math. The problem has always been physical. How do you generate a truly random, gigabyte-long key and then securely deliver a perfect copy of it to someone on the other side of the planet? You can't just email it. It could get intercepted. You could use a courier, I guess, but that's slow, expensive, and really risky. This one single logistical nightmare has kept perfect security just out of our reach.
Which brings us to a landmark experiment, a breakthrough that finally solves this physical problem by creating a shared source of perfect randomness, an unbreakable padlock synchronized between Tokyo and Paris.
And the solution is just pure elegance. Scientists created a pool of synthetic DNA strands, each one a unique random sequence. Then, they used biology's own replication machinery to duplicate the entire pool. They created 2 identical test tubes filled with the exact same random DNA. One test tube stayed in Tokyo, the other was flown to Paris. In that moment, they had 2 physically separate but perfectly synchronized sources of randomness. They had their one-time pad.
The result was historic. Both teams sequenced their local DNA pads, which generated an identical, massive, and perfectly random key. Using the shared secret, they sent an image from one continent to another with perfect, unconditional security. This was the very first message in human history sent across the globe that is provably secure against any computer, present or future. The unbreakable padlock was finally unlocked, with a key made of life itself.
So, we started with a huge question. How do you defend against a threat that can rewrite life itself? After investigating the battlefield, after stress testing the weapons, and witnessing the birth of perfect security, we've arrived at the verdict.
The verdict is in. The threat is a fusion of digital logic and biological matter. The defense, therefore, has to be the same. To protect a future where our biology and our medicine are literally programmable, our security can't just be a static line of code. The firewall must also be alive. Now that you've enjoyed this Cyber Tips Explainer to understand the cyber world around us, go on a watch marathon of our playlists to become a cybersecurity expert. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone you deeply care about to have a foolproof cyber defense.